going to make him do the line, but I'm just saying, like, either you do what's right if you benefited from this film and you cough up something, or otherwise they're coming to get your wallet some way, one shape or another, and if it's not through your wallet, then it's through your conscience. Save a part of Pennsylvania film history, save a part of Pittsburgh film history. Thank you very much. Thanks, Russ. Awesome.
Here comes one now. I'll hit him in the head, right between the eyes.
Cos, there you are! I've been looking for you everywhere, man. Why? It's like you're trying to avoid me or something, man. I'm not an athlete. Hey, wait a minute! Wait a minute! I'm not dead yet!
Well, you might not be dead, but you're all messed up.
Okay, here I am at Evans City, very close to many of the locations of Night of the Living Dead. Of course, you guys will recognize this bridge, even though the bridge itself has changed, right, Cos?
Yeah, it was blown away by a hurricane, but that's all right. They rebuilt.
And I say Cos, obviously George Kosana, better known to all you Night of the Living Dead fanatics like me as Sheriff McClellan in Night of the Living Dead. So, Cos, I got this thing together. We're trying to have a little bit of humor with it, but as you know, really the last standing structure from Night of the Living Dead, the Evans City Cemetery Chapel, was under threat of being demolished, basically, because of the state of disrepair. And your friend, my friend Gary Streiner, several of the other people close to the film got together and decided to launch a campaign to save it. So, you know, any thoughts on that?
I understand. It's a sad thing because Evans City was put on the map by Night of the Living Dead. That chapel was in the opening sequences, and it's a historic landmark. I don't see why they want to tear it down. There's a lot of things I don't understand. I didn't mean to shoot my grandmother. It just went off 4 times, and I didn't even know the bow was loaded.
And that's you're hearing that here for the first time, a confession. I guess maybe the statute of limitations on Grandma's side have run out. I'm not sure. And then again, you can always pull the card that you thought she was dead and she was all messed up. So
yeah, she'll be all right.
So yeah, you know, over here was where the house was, right, of course, right behind us.
Yeah, but it's gone. Now in its place, there's a structure that resembles a log cabin.
And if only you guys would have known, I guess, back then.
We'd have bought the house.
Bought the house because it was affordable, and that would be a cash cow now over there.
They were going to tear it down regardless of what we did. If we wanted to blow it up, we were allowed to. If we wanted to burn it down, we were allowed to. Because as soon as we left, they were going to knock it down, and they did.
In fact, you could abuse it with like massive amounts of Bosco syrup all over the walls.
It doesn't matter. Anything we wanted to do, we were permitted to do. Because as soon as we were gone, they were knocking the house down and putting in a sod form. And they did. Then it changed ownership a few times, and the current owner on the site where the original house was built and stood, built his house, which resembles a log cabin.
Some of the trees are still standing though, right? That were by the
Some
house.
of them got knocked down.
Yeah,
some of them got knocked down in the hurricane and tornado that tore this bridge out.
Cuss and I have known each other for a while. I've been thorn in his side for years now.
That's true.
And he still hasn't got me to quit smoking, regardless of how much sense it makes. But I guess we've talked about this at a lot of length. As some of you know, I was the writer of One for the Fire, and we've talked about these things at length, spent a lot of time together. But sitting here again now in 2012, I mean 44 years later, let's say?
Going on.
44 years later, I mean, what, you know, I know you have a lot of time to think about it. I mean, what do you think it is? Because I know this wasn't included in One for the Fire in the final edit. What do you think it is about Night of the Living Dead, out of all the hundreds of thousands of films that have been made? Why am I still sitting here with you on this bridge talking about? Why are so many of us just so obsessed with Night of the Living Dead? What do you think that nerve was that?
It had a story. Most films today, regardless if they're in the horror genre or if they're exploitation for sensationalism and blood and gore, don't have a story. They have a bunch of scenes strung together that they're calling a picture. Night of the Living Dead did three things. Number one, it had a story. Number two, it gave the fans their money's worth. And number three, the cult following that arose from that is a testimonial to the fact that it was received well by the viewing public and not the suits.
Well said. And you know what else? It also had George Kosana. I mean, being real. I think a lot of that was another thing that struck with people was, you know, a lot of people like to talk about the documentary style, the cinema verite style, and I think that there was such a good combination. You had Dwayne Jones, who was, say, more classically trained actor, and then a lot of local talent. Like that was your first film, right? You know what I mean? I think that you were maybe chosen because you were believable, you know?
It wasn't my first acting role.
Right.
But it was my first full-length feature film.
Great. Well, I think another thing I wanted to kind of include here was that, you know, a lot of the Save the Chapel videos, the point that, to elaborate something Cuss was saying earlier, is that I think that the chapel itself has become an iconic image from the film, not just to, I mean, to people all over the world, you know, recognize that spot. Laura Parker and I were in the cemetery yesterday, and some people from Florida came in looking to see where Night of the Living Dead was filmed, you know.
We were at a convention earlier this year. We had people at my table who came from Australia. And the first thing they did, they went up to the cemetery and looked for the stone and looked for the chapel. Then they came to the convention, which was in Georgia.
And so I think the importance of it is not just that Night of the Living Dead, everybody knows Night of the Living Dead is not my favorite horror movie, it's my favorite film of all times. And there's no debating that the film changed the way cinema was done. I mean, you took Night of the Living Dead and Easy Rider right about the same time, and they really opened up the independent cinema and created the whole culture that we have now of non-studio produced films. A bunch of people get together, working, blue-collar people, making a film and getting it out there. So I think that it's not just a part of horror film history, a part of the history of Night of the Living Dead, but I would say it's obviously a part of the history of Evans City, and obviously a part of Pennsylvania history, and a part of American history of the cinema, of our culture. You know, now, one of the things I wanted to do with this video that was a little different than a lot of the Save the Chapel videos that have been being done, I just felt like I wanted to add a little bit more fun, a little bit more trivia for the fans to, you know, give them a little bit more incentive to maybe loosen their purse strings a little bit and realize how important this is. So you've been seeing some of these antics. Well, here's the one I got for you, Cuss. You know I'm 3/4 Indian. And I know you pride yourself on your ability with guns and stuff like that. So what I was thinking of, a fantasy for any Night of the Living Dead fanatic like me would be to standing next to the sheriff and to get a couple guns. And let's see today who the better shot really is, Cuss.
It's no contest.
No contest. Indians win every time, hands down, okay?
Look what Sitting Bull did at Little Bighorn.
Right. What happened to that? You know what I mean? So,
okay.
Hey, the zombie
party,
party...
but the humor didn't work.
Hey, remember, Custer wore arrow shirts, man. And maybe the
right.
sheriff might be getting one before the afternoon's over. I doubt it. I'll probably end up hung upside down by a tree, skinned in about 5 minutes, and we'll be having barbecued half-breed for dinner. So we'll see you up at the Evans City Cemetery, people. Thank you, Cuss.
Not a problem. That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Jeez, man, walking all day. Ella! Ella! Hey, it's me, Billy Graham, remember me? Ella! Ella, it's me, the guy who won for the fire.
Oh my God, not this weirdo again. What do you want?
Oh, Ella, thank gosh you're home. I've been trying to call you for a couple days. You know, I'm just trying to film this Save the Chapel video. You know how important Night of the Living Dead is to me, and I just really wanted to talk to you. I hate to bother you. I'm really sorry, but I tried calling you and you didn't answer.
I'm not home much.
Like, do you think I could just have a couple minutes of your time just to, you know, I talked to Gary, I talked to Russ, I talked to Kyra, everybody seems to be busy, but I just want to do a good job for Night of the Living Dead. You know how much the movie means to me.
Okay, come on
Thanks,
in.
Ella. You're an angel. I appreciate it a lot. I'm kind of hungry too. Do you think maybe
I could give you a cup of tea. I just got home from the senior center.
that would be great? I don't really mean to bug you or anything, you know, but you know, just.
Okay, I'll give you a cup of tea.
That'd be great. I love it. Should I just sit down over there at the table, or?
Yeah, sit at the table.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Ella. You're a doll. This is awesome, man.
Here's your tea.
Oh, wow, thank you so
I
much.
hope that's enough because I really don't have
Oh,
anything.
thank you so
in
much,
to eat.
Ella. I really appreciate it, you know, you letting me. I hope I wasn't bothering you too much. I know I come around pretty much, and I'm always...
I know.
I appreciate you asking the questions. Well, you know, when you were in the zombie makeup, was it painful or anything like that?
No, it wasn't painful. We had a good time.
You know, but...
Come on, drink your tea.
Okay, well, I just... But it wasn't painful? It didn't hurt or
No,
anything
it
like that?
didn't
Was it
hurt.
cold out there?
Oh, it was cold some nights because the grass was wet. And it was getting into
So,
October.
was George a good guy, or...
Oh, George was a wonderful guy.
Oh, man, that's, you know...
Come on, drink up.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, man, it's so hot. But so you knew Russ back then, too, as well?
Yes, I
Now,
knew
what's the
Russ.
stupidest question a fan ever asked you about the movie?
Well, they always ask me, what other movies do I like?
What
Like
other movies
that.
do you like?
None.
None?
None, I don't watch
Oh, this
them.
is really good.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Drink up.
Wow. Man, so when you were making Night of the Living Dead, did you ever think that you would ever be in a movie that was that...
Oh my, he'll never bother me again.
So anyway, we're having our fun, as you can see, and all this. I just thought that, you know, all the hard work that's been being done to try to save the chapel, I wanted to get your thoughts on a couple things about that. But I don't know, I came up with this zany idea because I kind of thought that there's been a great appeal for the money, but I just thought now at this midway point, maybe like a little bit more Night of the Living Dead trivia, and maybe a little bit more zaniness, and like, so, you know, me being the obsessed fan.
I'm sure this is going to work out just fine, and I would like to see it when
It's
over.
going to be great. What we're going to do, as soon as I get back to Los Angeles, I'll take like a week, cut it, and then we're just going to put it right up on YouTube and on the Evans City Save the Chapel site and all the places that are...
Except I don't have a computer.
Oh, well, we'll burn you a DVD of it. We'll make sure you get to see it. But
So I don't have
a couple
a
things. We'll get into chapel in a minute, but you did your first big convention last weekend,
I sure
Cinema
did.
Wasteland.
Yes,
So
I
what
did.
was that experience like for you?
It was really nice. It was a little wild, but it was nice.
I was behaved, though. You noticed.
Oh, yes, you behaved like a
I
gentleman.
almost elbowed you in the face at one point by accident coming up behind me, but that was purely, and your daughter was ready to stab me when I came up and kissed you because she didn't realize it was me.
She says, I hope this isn't going to be my new daddy.
Wow, all of us can only hope for as much, you know. Got to meet a lot of the fans there, and you got to be with a lot of the other Ghoul alumni.
Yeah. Paula, I haven't seen Paula since we did the movie.
Wow.
In fact, I don't think anybody has.
Wow, and oh yeah, she was pretty much an enigma and a mystery, and
they
she
couldn't find her,
disappeared and everything.
but
And
no.
Paula, of course, being the one in the white
Yeah,
shroud with the dark
sheet,
hair, you know,
yes.
one of the more iconic
Yes.
ghouls in the movie. I guess Herb Summers was
Herb
there.
was there.
Terry
Yes.
Gindle.
It's something like that. And Dave Yeah.
And William Mogush, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a regular ghoul reunion.
That was a ghoul reunion, and we all sat there and had a good time laughing and joking with each other.
And the Save the Chapel group was set up right next to you, and you survived being near Gary Streiner all weekend, which is an accomplishment in itself. Hi, Gary, I love you. And
Gary and I have got to be good friends.
yeah, we all love Gary. See how we put him over even when he's not here. So now you for the fans and supporters of this and people that love Night of the Living Dead, a lot don't know, but Ella's house is right over here. I'm looking out of her kitchen door that I just breached earlier, and I can see the bridge, which is not the original bridge, but the bridge where the posse came, and Bill Cardill and the dogs and the police, and then of course the house down here that is still in the shot, and then of course over this way, right across through the trees behind your house, is the actual location of the Night of the Living Dead house, which was torn down very...
It was torn down maybe a year or so after the movie was made.
And everybody says the same thing. If anybody would have known that could be a gold mine.
Had I known that, I could have had anything out of that house, because they're friends of mine.
Right. So when like, you know, the movie comes out in 1968 and everything, and I remember you the first time we met here, maybe 5-6 years ago, and you were telling me about, you know, every once in a while people will pull up in front of your house and say, hey, do you know where that movie was made? Yeah. Like, when was the first time that happened? Like, how many years after the movie?
Oh, I don't know. But they've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah. So now, since the release of Autopsy of the Dead and One for the Fire, has that increased that more people, because now they know you, you know, as being one of the ghouls and everything like that. And of course, Ella's husband, Philip, was in the movie as well. And I remember when we did the interview, and I think that made the cut of One for the Fire, you said you didn't make a lot of money, but you had $1 million worth of fun.
We sure did.
And the fun has continued,
it
right?
Keeps on going.
And she really does have Billy Graham knocking at her door unannounced to do crazy videos and stuff. But as you can see, she's
I don't care.
So hospitable and everything like that. And she really does make good tea and stuff like that. So with the house being torn down, and we all know that the basement of the house was the Fort Pitt building, and that's corporate owned and everything, and so that's kind of not. It's a value, but you know they want like over $1 million or $2 million for the building. So I don't think that anybody from Night is really going to plan to buy up that. So
I don't think Gary's going to do that.
Yeah, I think he's more apt to Gary for mayor of Evans City, but he has my support, and but I don't know whether that'll help or hurt. But what I was going to say, the chapel itself, pretty much now, is the only lit structure that
the focal point of the whole movie is that chapel.
Right.
And I think that they better save it.
And so, you know, it's interesting because you and I were talking earlier off camera about, you know, the attitude of the people in the cemetery in years past. Sometimes there were some people that went up there that weren't so nice, and now it seems like the cemetery even has been more open because the people have been really respectful that are going up there. And I myself, what I mentioned to Gary today was like, you know, a lot of times some people get a wrong impression maybe of the horror fans. Some of them like to dress in all black clothing with black makeup, and some of them have long hair and tattoos.
Long hair,
yes, and you know, like this guy and everything and funny things. But you know, I think that what I think is amazing is that, and you've learned this, and it's not just over the chapel, but if you see the way the fans have come out so strong and even opening up their pocketbooks and their wallets to save the chapel, and then even in support, you know, of people, like everybody has, you know, we've had some people we've lost this year that are close to Night, and just, I mean, anything from Kyra's dogs to people that we've lost, you know, you see like such a strong rapport, and I think that I'm real proud of everybody because it really breaks a lot of stereotypes that people might have about the horror film fans and everything, and that they're really a lot of warm.
Well, it goes to show you that just because you have long, stringy hair,
stringy,
you're all right.
This hair is taking me to Hollywood, Ella. The more that experience goes on for you, and the more you know experience this like appreciation of the fans. I mean, any other reflections of what that feels like? I mean, to just, I mean, like, you know, your daughter, let's say that, you know, she was either not born or too young to remember.
No, she was, that daughter was, I think 13.
Okay.
When the
She looks
movie
young
was,
for her age.
well, that's because she's my daughter.
She's got your genes, yes.
But I think she was about 13. My son, probably about 11.
So were they 13, 11? So were they running around like little, when this was all going on, like excited?
They didn't run around. They just, you know, were kind of awed about what was going on. And it kind of, you know, after the movie was made, they said, gee, Mom, now we know how they shoot people. And now we know how they do this and how
So
they do that.
took the magic out of it for them a little
really
bit,
did.
right?
But they had a good time.
So now are they a little amazed at how, you know, how long it's lasted? And
Yeah, my daughter said, I can't imagine that people would come around like they did
Yeah.
over the weekend,
Yeah.
you know, to, which...
get your
yeah,
autograph and your picture
Yeah.
and ask you questions about the movie and everything like that. So it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
And it doesn't die, and it created the, I mean, you know, zombie movies. I think this year there's something like 68 zombie movies announced for really, and just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like it's
Yeah.
the monster of our
Right
time
now,
now,
yes.
you know.
But,
So
that's what the kids say, you know. Somebody is after this movie and it's 44 years. How, you know.
good point. 44. And when we were filming one for the fire, that was during the 39th year to get it ready for the 40th, and now here we are. Working on 45. I mean, so it won't be, you know, 5 more years. And 50
I just
years.
hope whenever we get this chapel, and we will get this chapel fixed. This is going to be restored. I just hoped that we have a nice big bash of some kind, but not anybody destroying anything.
Right. Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think another good point would be that, you know, I've made this point with others when we talk, but you know, it's the chapel is a part of Evans City history as well as
That's
the history of the film. And then through the film, I mean, the fact that you can go to any country and any language in this world, and someone recognizes that structure immediately, it's a part of world cinematic history. So I would certainly hope not only that you could have that bash, as you called it, but I would think that approaching 50 years, I think it would be really nice that if the state of Pennsylvania put up one of those blue and yellow signs as a state marker to say that Evans City, you know, home of Night of the Living Dead, the film that changed cinematic history, you know.
Probably they will, but I won't be around to...
She's going to outlive me, people.
I doubt that. I doubt that. I'm already 80. And how old are you?
Lady Clairol is a girl's best friend. No, I'm 52. I admit, look, the first woman that ever asked me my age, and I told her the truth. You have that?
Hey, and I tell my truth too because I'm proud to be an
That's right.
80.
That's right. And I still bet on her, people. Okay, and so
You'll have to push me in my wheelchair.
I will love to do it, and then your daughter will have to accept who her new father is, and there'll be nothing she can call me, you know, Billy, asshole, daddy, whatever she wants to call me. Excuse my French. Was there some? Laura Parker's motioning behind the camera. Was there something that? Just a gnat, or you're trying to land an airplane, or what's all this over here? Just got to, because I know Laura's self-conscious, so we get YMCA.
Wrap it up, huh?
So, yeah, wrap it up. Listen, if you don't want to listen to me, listen to Ella. Save the Evans City Chapel.
Save the chapel.
Give what you can, even if it's your services, if you're a bricklayer, a mason, a carpenter. I understand that the construction is going to start this summer, so we'd like to have that bash by the fall. We'd go great with Halloween, I think. And
well, that would be great, but I'm looking forward more to spring.
Spring, that'd be beautiful. And you know, if you don't want to give voluntarily, you know, we could always have Ella serve you of her specialty.
Special. You want to land on the floor?
Specialty. Thank you very much. I love you. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Save the Evans City Chapel, people. Cool. You can hit stop. Awesome. You there, Sheriff?
I got him.
You hit him.
Rocked a little.
After I hit him.
Didn't it rock a little?
Okay, this time hit him right between the eyes, cuz. Come on. After you, sir. Right. You know, if you were Custer, that arrow would have hit you already, Sheriff. Oh, shoot, I gotta...
Much faster
Yeah,
than an arrow.
sorry.
Where's the third
Are you
breath?
done already, Sheriff?
I am.
Okay, let me finish that one off right there. Here I am at Casa de Kyra once again, enjoying a lovely sunny afternoon. As you can see, Kyra's house always awesome because there's so many cool things and such great art work around this abode. Because Kyra, of course, is not only an artist but an appreciator of art. Boy, am I trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about or what? Anyhow, hi.
Hi, Billy.
We did our whole Kyra troweling me as I am a home invader and a pesky stalker bit, so here we are to have a little bit more of a serious talk about saving the Evans City Chapel. And have tea. How continental of us. Where's your tea, Kyra?
It's right here.
Rusty, do you have tea? Rusty's here, folks. He's probably going to make an appearance at some point, besides in the blooper where she actually stabbed me in the sternum. This is the things I do. You know, people find out you do one wrestling show and then the next thing you know, everybody is Nick Gage stabbing me with things, okay? Did you actually stab Marilyn for real like you did me? No, because there's a pillow
No.
there, right?
She wasn't even there.
Okay. Wow. All this week in this impromptu thing falling together, walking in all the different places, you know, like we were up at the cemetery and down at the bridge and over at Ella's house and past the site of the house. And I mean, for me, the last time I had been up to the cemetery a couple years ago, I was there with Bill Heinzman.
Yeah.
So it was, you know, it was a very mixed bag of emotional donuts, let's say. And I guess, you know, I guess where I was going to go with this, something that crossed my mind was, you know, we've this year lost 3 people that were really associated with Night of the Living Dead. Josephine Streiner, Russ and Gary's mother. Rudy Ritchie, who was such an integral part of Latent Image, and I was originally supposed to play Ben, of course, as most fans know, and Bill, you know, you're you know, like, you know, such a mentor and a father figure to many of us, you know, because more than a friend, and I know close to you.
Yeah.
Through all that, and I didn't think it would.
Yeah, he was like an uncle or a
Yeah, you know, that's
brother to me. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's you know, and then of course a few years ago we lost your father, and then before that, you know, we have Keith Wayne and Dwayne Jones, you know, and so and what need I say, Vince Survinski, who was no UV, no Uncle Vince, no Vince Survinski, no Night of the Living Dead people, you know. So I guess where I'm going with that is, we know the house is gone. You know, the Fort Pitt building, a industrial property with a really high price tag on it. So we have this Evans City Chapel, and I was kind of thinking of, you know, not just the structure being something that's left, but then the people that are left as, you know, the life cycle continues, and we're all going to leave sooner or later. So I don't know how I can put into words what I was sensing or feeling, but it's just that emotional and spiritual reverberation as we go through life, and people that have touched our lives. So I don't know, somehow that building, I think, is not just connected to a visceral sense of seeing something in a film, but it meant something to all those people too, you know. And so I thought about you, and I thought, wow, the one thing I never really heard word, I mean, very obvious you were 9 years old at the time, correct, in making the movie, but I mean, outright, you're the youngest person that was involved with any aspect of making the Night of the Living Dead. So, you know, seeing the passing of time and the passing of loved ones, any kind of waxing or you know, kind of, you know, something you'd like to say about that? Like, I mean, because it must be strange, because
Well, it's strange, but it's not, of course, not just because of, you know, the people from Night of the Living Dead, but I'm like the last remaining member of my own family, which, you know, there's kind of a creepy last man standing aspect that I don't really like to dwell on, you know. So can we talk about
yeah, I guess I was looking for something positive in it. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean,
But if this is not cool, cut.
no, it tends to get though a little kind of creepy feeling. It's not something that when I have those kinds of thoughts creep into my head, I deliberately push them aside because it's not productive for me.
Yeah.
I don't like living in the past,
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I think that, you know, we can certainly honor the past without living in it, and I think that's what we want to do, you know, with the chapel. And you know, it is the last remaining structure that's recognizable and accessible. Like, we can't get into the basement at Fort Pitt Boulevard. But I think, you know, because it's recognizable and because fans do, you know, sort of tend to flock to the cemetery to, you know, to visit the, you know, the various tombstones and things, I think it's important to keep the building in good repair. And not just for Night of the Living Dead fans, but for the people of Evans City who have family members buried there or will have family members buried there, because then they can use it as, you know, as
What it was
you know,
intended
what
for.
it was intended for. Although I understand there were only a couple of funerals in there
Up till,
originally.
I think from what Gary said, there had only been for a short time, and he was talking about the difficulty because of the slope and carrying a casket up. And so I know that
Right.
what he said, part of the renovation and restoration plans is to add something that wasn't originally there, which is they're going to build right out to the drive so that it's able to bring, I guess, a hearse or whatever vehicle there and be able to load right onto there. So it's certainly, it's not just restoring it, it's actually bringing it to a
Improving
level
it.
of function, of improving it and bringing it to a functionality that it didn't have before. Last couple of days, the first day, Laura and I went up to the cemetery, and here came in some people with Florida tags, and I said, what do you want to bet those people are Night of the Living Dead fans? And of course, sure enough, it was a couple and their teenage daughter searching out Night of the Living Dead. Hey, excuse us, is this where that movie was made? And I was talking to Gary the next morning on the phone about an appointment. I said, Gary, you won't believe this. You know, we were up in the cemetery. He goes, well, Billy, I hate to burst your bubble, like it wasn't really some cosmic experience. Like, basically lately, Billy,
It's like every day.
every time I go up there now, and I would urge everybody, if you're going to make that horror movie night fan, deadhead, sorry, Jerry Garcia, pilgrimage to the Mecca of our horror and independent cinema, please continue the tradition that's been going on of being respectful people and realizing that it is still a cemetery. There's still people's loved ones buried there. It's not just a movie set. And I'm sure if you present yourself in a respectful manner, you're not going to have any problems, you know. But please don't wreck it for everybody else that's been able to. I mean, because to be able to go there, you know, to grow up as a little kid, and you know, yes, I'm the obsessed guy and everything with the movie. You know, to be able to go there is just a privilege, you know, and to see these other people coming from all over the world being able to walk through film history. And you know, for me, even now, like with all the years of connection with you guys and everything, it's meaning the night group family. It's I guess that's what I was talking about earlier. It's become kind of a cycle for me too of now all the years I've been going back there and everything. So I certainly appreciate being able to still be connected to that spot and everything. Another thing I've been trying to touch on is just the wonderful spirit and charitable nature of all the fans that they've been showing through this process.
Yeah.
And I know you have had a lot of support personally through other
Exactly,
things, and I
yeah.
know you might want to say something to the fans about
Yeah,
that.
no, I mean, you know, you were talking about horror fans generally and how people have misperceptions about horror fans. And my experience with horror fans, and mostly with Night of the Living Dead fans specifically, is that it's really a community. It's not just sort of people that are disconnected from each other at all. It's really a community. And you know, I've been the beneficiary of some unbelievable kindness and generosity since Rusty got sick, and people have just, you know, come out of the woodwork with support. And you know, I mean, it makes me feel like emotional, but it's just
Emotions
unbelievable.
are
No, I
good.
know, but
They're okay.
I don't want to start crying.
You don't have to.
but
I'll
it's,
cry for you. We all know me.
It's amazing, the kindness and compassion from people that I've not even necessarily met in person, but it's just, they're really, really good, decent people. And it's kind of offensive when when you hear random people say, oh, they have long hair, or they're like, tattooed, or
Here we go
wearing
again. I'm
black.
always the poster child for this.
No, but as Ellen was saying,
yeah, I'm teasing. I
but
relish
it's,
it.
but there again, like, you can't judge a book by its cover, and I don't think there's not a more supportive group of people in the world than the people that I've met because of this movie. And this movie really has been such a blessing to me. I mean, who knew that being a zombie for like 5 minutes in a movie 45 years ago I would still be reaping benefits, and I don't mean monetary, but I mean just emotional support and friendship.
Connection.
It's just, I mean, I love these people. I really, really do. And it's not something that I would have known had it not been for this film.
It's another part of who would have known any of it from where the film. I mean, I always what freaks me out when I really think about it, because I just have thought too much about it, is there's literally, I mean, the motion picture is really, really relatively a short thing in the course of human history, and that's what got scrapped from One for the Fire. I got to say this in my narrative. It started with explaining that, how we were cavemen, and then all of a sudden we figured out how to harness fire, and we sat around the fire and we could be protected, but then we had all this time to kill while there was noises out in the night, and that's when the idea of telling stories and bullshitting started, and that's what the invention of myth. Tens of thousands of years go by before there's some kind of like language that's widespread, and then written word comes, and then it's hundreds and hundreds of years later that we have a printing press, and then it's a couple thousand years later, or a few thousand years later, when finally someone figures out how to make sound and sight.
Well, it was hundreds, not
okay, hundreds. I get hit in the head a lot. Hundreds. Really hundreds between the printing press and the.
Yeah.
I thought the printing press was the 16. We'll have to look this up.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be thousands, though.
Oh, it would be hundreds. Yeah. Now you know why I'm not an accountant. I'm good at subtraction, though. Give me money, it goes. So what I was going to say. So just such a blip in the course of human history is the motion picture, and then in that short period of time, hundreds of thousands of films in all languages, all cultures, and here's this group of Pittsburgh people, blue-collar people, that set out, hey, what's a good idea to go from making commercials to let's make a feature film. And as your dad was always the one that said, and we said, hey, let's make a monster movie because they're generally successful, and not knowing how, and that's the big mystery of it to a lot of people. How could this one little train that could exist in the field, why is that the one we're still sitting here talking about? And I think some of those things have to do with, in my own perception, the intensity of the group of people coming together and being all on the same page. All
synergy too.
Synergy, beautiful word. Quarter for that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe each one of them by themselves or with a different group wouldn't have been able to achieve it, but I think it was just that perfect combination of people and talents and skills that came together to make,
and seeing the task through to its finish and completed, and I guess, look, everybody's got an ego, but at some point you can't make a movie on your own, so you have to cooperate with people, and I think that's one of the examples I always took from what I understand of what went on, that at that time, for that period, 1967, that people were able to work together and be part of the group rather than put themselves forward, and so I think that, and what Cuss was talking about the story, about there was such an element of the classic horror that we both love. I mean, and I think it really was about the human conflict. The child, the black man, the young couple, the fighting married couple that's older, the woman against the man. So I think that dynamic of the social dynamic put in the middle of the inescapable horror. It's that they're coming to get you. It was the truth. There was no, we always like to do the thing about who was right, better Mr. Cooper and all that other stuff, and I always say nobody was, because they should have got the hell out of there, but I know Mr. Cooper was right, we're with Kyra, that whole thing of that it was an inescapable terror that was slow, and also I think
But they created the terror.
Yeah.
The humans created the terror. It wasn't the ghouls outside.
Interesting point, because of their own snowballing and their ego, exactly. And I think that the other thing, the zombies being reinvented at that point, that were not just mindless humans picking sugarcane for Bela Lugosi, but the monster wasn't a creature. It was your neighbor next door. It was the lady in her nightgown. It was the guy in his work pants. It was the person that got up off the morgue table. That the monster could be any one of us, I think, is certainly a lot more Freudian and subconsciously rooted that why it made it scary. I guess we've gotten a little off course in talking too much about, I guess, the film, but there's never too much of it. So what would you like to say, about the overall effort of saving the chapel and its importance, I guess, lastly?
Well, I think it's amazing how much has been accomplished in such a short time, and that's really due to Gary Streiner, because he is so passionate about it, and he just got permission for this last September, and in a relatively short time, what did he say, $32,000?
$38,000 as of this week, the first week of April 2012, after $3,800 last week at Cinema Wasteland.
Wow.
That's not the biggest show in the country, but I was right across from them, and that table was just hopping. Yeah, it's always a good. It's not, but I'm saying, for the amount of fans through the door, they certainly gave very generously to create that amount of revenue, and now they're talking about.
There again, that's the generosity of horror fans and fans of this film, because I think I think maybe people feel some sort of ownership in it too. When they can help to preserve a landmark from the film, it makes them feel closer to the film and maybe a part of the film. That might have something to do with it, but the energy that this group has had is amazing to me. And there's kind of there are 2,700 or something members of the Facebook group.
It's over 3,000 now, I think. There was 163 more this week.
Okay, well, but there's really been a core group that's been very active and very energetic, and they don't stop. They're just relentless. They're like the zombies, They just keep coming.
Yep.
And it's they've done amazing work. And kudos to them. Really, Gary and this group and the horror fans who come out to the shows and buy T-shirts and just donate money.
Things to watch
really
too.
are really to be commended. It's just they've, it's. I don't know of any other movement like this. It's
there's no movement to save Michael Myers' house or
right.
the chainsaw compound. It's not It's the images from the film, I guess, the structures are not. That's why we were talking about that earlier. Is really that chapel? It's just there that quick, but I just think there's something about the fact that it establishes. It's gothy looking, and it's just that it establishes when they pull up in that car, it looks like they're in a cemetery, and then we see that, and so it is brief, but I just think there's something about it. I don't know if it's something that. The way it was framed, the way the stones on the building look, or whether it just looks so great in contrast to Russ and Judith, but it just, and it's the only building Night fans have left,
right.
So what Gary said along with the money was that he feels that construction is going to start here in the summer.
Right.
And so, yeehaw, and you heard it from Kyra, guys, how grateful everyone is, and what an important thing it really is, and just great overcoming, like you said, the stereotypes and misconceptions. This really does prove a lot. Something about that, I guess what Gary said that was neat about the stereotypes was he was talking about actually the perception of the people in the town of Evans City. Mm-hmm. That at one time it was almost like an old school mindset where it was almost like a dirty little secret, you know, like, well, we don't really want to be known for having this zombie movie, and now how that attitude is starting to shift. I mean, I mean, I'm looking at the idea that it's just a couple years from the 50th anniversary,
Right.
and I look at all the other things that are, there's blue and yellow signs all over Pennsylvania, and many of them say Falling Rock, but anyway, but you know, all kinds of, the Indians killed the white people here, the Indians killed the white people here, it's all racism people gotta get rid of. But anyway, there's much better things that are positive to denote, and I would think that I would like to see this spill over into Evans City being proud of being the home of Night of the Living Dead, and I'd like to see one of those Pennsylvania markers say, look, this is where this happened, you know, and because the entire world knows what happened in Evans City.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, thanks, Kyra, and thanks for stabbing me, and thanks for letting me feed Rusty, and
I'll stab you anytime.
thanks for the doing this. Hey, jealous, I know, but anyway, love you.
Thanks.
Always a pleasure.
Cool.
Tea. Oh, Reg, you know what a big fan I am of the movie, and as many questions as I ask you guys, like I feel so close to it, like I want to be part of it. I want to know what it was like to be making the movie.
You want to be part of it? Here.
Reg, what's this? Like, I really just wanted to know what it was like to be in the movie.
I'll show you what it's like to be in a movie. There. You know what it's going to be like to be in a movie?
Oh my God!
Now that is one for the fire. Ha ha ha! Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Great.
Will continue to be transformed into the flesh-eating ghouls. All persons who die during this crisis, for whatever cause, will come back to life to save their victims unless their bodies are first disposed of by cremation. Our news cameras have just returned from covering such a search and destroy operation against the ghouls. This one conducted by Sheriff Conan McClellan in Butler County, Pennsylvania. So now let's go to that film report. All law enforcement agencies and the military have been organized to search out and destroy the marauding ghouls. The Survival Command Center at the Pentagon has disclosed that a ghoul can be killed by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull. Officials are quoted as explaining that since the brain of a ghoul has been the plan is kill the brain and you kill the ghoul.
Chief, if I were surrounded by 6 or 8 of these things, would I stand a chance with them?
Well, there's no problem. If you had a gun, shoot him in the head. That's a sure way to kill him. If you don't, get yourself a club or a torch. Beat him or burn him. They go up pretty easy.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Well, I guess after watching 2 hours of Kill Billy Save the Chapel, about the last thing that anybody wants is to hear more of Billy Graham talking, but I have a few comments I'd like to say at the close of this. The inspiration to do this Kill Billy Save the Chapel video was a spur-of-the-moment decision on the fly. Originally, we were going to be referencing just posting it up online for free, but I think that we've got a lot of fun stuff here, so the plans change. We're going to give this to Gary Streiner and the Save the Chapel group and see if they can make some DVDs and use it to help raise some more of the funds they need to save the chapel. I think that it might be a little long, but for you Night of the Living Dead fanatics like me, hopefully it's packed with enough trivia and humor and interesting interviews that I think it'll make a really nice companion piece to one for the fire and autopsy of the dead if you're as rabidly obsessed with Night of the Living Dead as I am. And another mistake throughout the film, I kept quoting $38,000 for some reason when I was tired, which the actual figure you hear Gary say was $32,000 at that time. And as far as cult fiction, this is weird. Well, the film, we started, as you saw, in the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles County, and now here I am closing this back in Los Angeles County. Well, where am I sitting? I am sitting at Adolf Hitler's secret bunker in Los Angeles County. I shit you not. It's a place called Murphy's Ranch. You can look it up. And I felt this was a very strange and weird place to wrap this up and get a little bit of atmosphere. So I hope that you all enjoyed it. I would certainly like to make mention that I also wanted to make sure that we mention all those people that we lost over the years from Night, and that they got given their due. Bill Heinzman, who was a very near and dear friend of mine, and taught me so much about the film business and just was there for me as a friend through thick and thin. Rudy Ritchie, amazing talent, great man, wonderful person. Josephine Streiner, just wonderful. And then, of course, all those who passed before, Vince Survinski, Keith Wayne, and Dwayne Jones, Philip Smith, and sadly, Rusty, who you see earlier in the film, Kyra's dog, has also passed, and that's sad, but I'm glad he got to make an appearance here in the film. So I hope you enjoy it. I also will urge you to stay tuned for after the credits of this film, which will be very long, but at the end of the credits, you're going to see two little bonuses I'm going to throw in, which are two never before seen in this fashion cult fiction wrestling promos. The first one is one that was never seen by anybody, which you'll see is me and Chili Billy Cardell himself. The reason that was never used by CZW was because the booking got changed and the match didn't happen. And then the second one you'll see has been posted in black and white on YouTube, but it's going to be seen here in color for the first time, which is me with Bill Heinzman. So I hope this was fun for some of you. I hope that you realized it wasn't just me trying to put myself over. Other than Jim Serenella, I believe I'm probably one of the most, other than the people that made the film, were involved in making Night of the Living Dead. I think that maybe only Jim Serenella is more of a Night of the Living Dead history, or historian, I should say, fanatic. And I hope you enjoyed it and realized it was as much me letting you other fans, walk in my shoes and get this close to the story. So thanks for supporting the cause of saving the Evans City Cemetery Chapel, and the efforts to kill Billy have failed. So you'll all have to come back and try it again next week. Later.
with this.
Wait, I give up. I'm gonna bring in your house again, yo.
Balls hurt.
Well, you might not be dead, but you're all messed up.
Probably funny stuff is like totally cool. Oh, they look like real rabbits.
That's cool. Too soon. Okay, let's...
Rusty, it's okay, so we need to really clean.
Rusty, you're really good.
It's okay.
Rusty, good. I'm okay. See, it's all good, Devin.
Okay.
It's all good.
That. Oh my! You'll never bother me again! But it's all I got. Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. Oh yeah, I'm in the wrestling business. That was beautiful. That's great. I think you're gonna love that one. That was easy now. You know, being that I now know what it was like to be in Night of the Living Dead, I think I figured something out that's really key to understanding the importance and the history of this film.
I'm pretty sure they're gay.
Guys, listen, can I interrupt for a second? I'm sorry. Dude, I want in trouble. You're a big dude.
Okay.
Listen, man, I'm not from town. I've been running all over the place. I got a friend of mine, man. His name's John Russo. You guys know him. I know he comes in here. He's the guy that wrote Night of the Living Dead.
I know of him, but you know what?
I can't find him anywhere. Nobody wants to tell me anything. I just got to talk to him for this Save the Chapel video. It's
He doesn't know.
I don't know what.
He didn't just write the Living Dead.
What do you mean he didn't just write?
He is the Living Dead.
What do you mean he's the Living Dead? What do you mean?
He is the Living Dead.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh shit! 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 Oh God! I hit.